Hello, and welcome to the Vegan Stew. I'm Kimberly. I'll be hosting this evening. Katya will run us through our main topic, but I'm here to greet you and welcome you to our show. Thank you to TerraSeed, the sponsor for this week's talks. Prize packs for this month's contest have been graciously donated by Hodo Foods, Crofters Organics, Follow Your Heart, Cinnaholic, Orgain, Revolution Gelato, and of course, TerraSeed. We invite our viewers to enter that monthly contest at virtualvegfest.com and click on the contest tab for details. Entering is super easy just by liking and or subscribing to So if you've been here before, you know how this goes. We're going to kick it off by introducing everyone, and then we'll have some news, some current events led by lovely Marla Rose. So we'll bring her in first. Hey, Marla.
Hi, how you doing?
And Helene from Triangle Veg Fest Expos. Marla from Vegan Street. Sorry about that, Marla.
Hey, everyone.
Then we've got Dawn, who is the Vegucator, and Katya, our esteemed host for the evening from Total Body Lab. So Marla, what's going on in the news?
Well, we have a couple of really positive news stories. Not necessarily trying to find them, but I don't like to start the show with a buzzkill. So we've got a couple of really good stories. One is that the Elle magazine empire, which is something like 45 different country editions in different countries, has decided that they are banning fur from inclusion in the magazine. So I take this to mean both models wearing fur advertising, to illustrate an article, but also advertising. I'm not positive about that second part, but I do know they said that they're banning fur. I also don't know if that just means full fur collars, the whole thing. But I do know that they're banning fur, which is a huge step. And they also just said, it's a thing of the past. We are blazing a new path, and we hope that other fashion media will follow along suit with that. So I thought that was a great story. And then the other story is out of Costa Rica, that a city in Costa Rica has started hanging ropes for sloths because so many were getting killed using the electrical lines or being predated by dogs and other animals. So anyway, they strung something like 130 ropes throughout the city that are being traversed now by sloths, which is fantastic. And the other benefit is something like 20 other species, if not more, are availing themselves of these ropes. So there's other kinds of monkeys and species that benefit from being able to be high above. So I just thought that was a really nice, feel-good story about the sloths are winning. So, and it's just another way like that. I mean, we've seen in different communities that people are now creating overpasses over expressways and highways for like deer crossings, coyote crossings, and that sort of thing. It's just it's a no-brainer, and if we can do it, why wouldn't we? So, and these wildlife are, taking advantage of it, and fewer are being killed in the process because of it. So anyway, it's just another example of how we can use this thing for good. So
that sounds good. Awesome. I saw the story that they are doing it for the advertisements as well as the enforcing. So yeah, and I think Valentino and some other designers have done it, and they're trying to make a statement. They're trying to make a statement, a very strong statement based on what I saw. So yeah, they are doing it for the advertisements, and it's complete fur. It's not just like the collars. So
fantastic. Yeah, I know. Yves Saint Laurent and
Valentino and somebody else.
What's that?
Nordstrom's. No, it wasn't. I thought it was Neiman Marcus. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, it's good for them though. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, more and more are getting it together. That's awesome, John. Fantastic. So I think it's just one of those, it's, it's about time, but thank goodness you're doing it. So, we're welcoming that. So yay.
I want to make sure we say hi to Leah. Leah is watching on VegFest Expos, which doesn't show up in our comments. So I just want to make sure. Hi, Leah. Thank you for watching.
Hi, Leah.
I'll keep track of that too on my end. Well, neato. Those are great stories. Dawn, do you have anything to add for current events or anything?
I'll get you next week. I don't have anything to add.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yes, I'll have something. I'll have something environmental next week.
Okay.
All right, perfect. No, that's great. No, so we could. I mean, this will be the fastest we get to our main topic, but you know what? We probably need the time anyway to talk about our main topic. So I just took over Kimberly. So Katya, bring us a hi, Susan. Hi, Susan.
Hey.
I mean,
Hi, Susan.
that's like just really cool that in San Antonio they have that Animal Crossing bridge. It's Colorado, some other state has that too. But
I know,
do they know? I mean, do they cross it? I mean, is it like an overpass?
Yeah, they do.
Is that what it is, an overpass?
And it goes over everything. Yeah.
And
how do they know
set
that? How
up,
do they know? Yeah.
It's just like wilderness. It's not concrete. They make it so there's
So
grass and dirt
perfect.
and rocks,
Okay.
and it's just like the landscape of their lives. And they just
So
cross
that's how they know
that
it's safety. Okay, good.
That's
they
always
do use
been
it.
the hardest part about like taking a road trip, is just seeing that sort of thing, just the unnecessary deaths on the side of the road. So if we can do that as much as possible, why not?
Yeah, I mean, the selfish reason for people to do it would be so your cars don't get messed up. I mean, if you don't want to take care of the animals, make it so that, you don't have a messed up car from hitting one. So, Hi, Diane.
Hi, Diane.
Yay. All right, cool. So Katya, take us away.
Yes, absolutely, Helene. Thank you. Can you ladies give me a thumbs up if I'm not muffled, if the sound is okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yay, sounds okay. Okay, that's good. Sometimes my phone does weird things. But yeah, our main topic today is the vegan spectrum, and I actually have an article on this that almost became a mini book, and I just realized I need to stop writing about it. I need to start talking about it more. It's more of a discussion thing and kind of bringing people in who are either going vegan or who are like vegan, curious, vegetarian, doesn't matter. So how we kind of stumbled upon this is I was talking with one of my friends, and we were talking about people's sexual preferences, how basically nobody's really like straight or nobody's really gay. People are like usually somewhere on the spectrum, and we realized there's a vegan spectrum. Like people are also, it's very hard to impossible to be purely vegan in this non-vegan world, right? And it's not a good or bad thing. That's just a fact. And there's no need to beat yourself up about it. So we realized that most of our friends fall somewhere on the spectrum, right? From being, anti-kids, anti-abortion, anti-vaccine, because those things aren't vegan, to I only eat meat, and, I think slaughterhouses are great. Between those two extremes, most people fall in between. So I guess I can open up a little bit with my story and then ask each and one of you, how did your vegan journey start, and where did you fall on the spectrum in different points of your life, and where did you kind of gravitate towards and end up and feel comfortable at the moment? So I first just stopped eating animal products. It took me probably about 2 to 3 months to like gradually decrease the majority of the animal products in my diet. And I thought that was it. I thought, cool, I'm vegan now. Yay! And my colleagues get to call me vegan, and I get to say no to most places that they want to take me out to eat. Like, I get all the jokes about it. Like, I try really hard. I've learned how to cook tofu. Like, cool, I'm vegan now. Yay! Well, it occurred to me a couple of months, probably about 2 years later, into the journey that I think we went shopping with my mom, and I suddenly realized that like the shoes that she likes, she only picks leather shoes. And I do like leather shoes too, or I did. And I was like, wait, that's not vegan. That's made out of an animal. What's the difference between eating it and wearing it? Well, there's not. Cool. Then I had a dog. Dog eats non-vegan food. Okay. And then there's all kinds of things, you know, from vaccines to tires to all kinds of household products that we use, that I use and have. And I feel like throwing it away would create more waste. So I don't throw it away and buy anything that is made out of like faux leather or faux fur. I still wear like my old leather jacket and my old leather shoes. I just don't buy the new ones that are made out of leather. So does that make me not vegan? And I felt like an imposter. And people who wanted to stick things in my face, like, oh, you do this, and this is not vegan. Ooh, like, you know, they bring the fries, and I eat the fries, and then the waiter comes, like, at the end of dinner and be like, one of my friends would ask if the fries are vegan, they'd be like, yeah, they're totally vegan. But, like, we fry them together with, you know, the wings and the other stuff. And I'd be like, oh, cool, great. Thanks for letting me know after we ate that. I guess now I try to minimize consuming animal products in all spheres of life as much as possible, but that does not always happen, and I'm okay with it. And I call myself vegan, even though some people probably will not call me vegan. So how about you, Kimberly? Where did you kind of start, and where did you gravitate? And did you get into trouble with some of the people who just wanted to point a finger at you and be like, no, you're not vegan. You do this. Yeah.
Well, I had an experience once. I was vegetarian probably for about 6 months, and I went into New York City to join a protest because Lord & Taylor was opening a fur salon. So this is early 2000s. And I was wearing sneakers I'd gotten from Payless. They were not leather, but as people were walking by, and it was a silent protest, we were holding up the signs, and someone walked by and they noticed my sneakers, and they just like came at me like, what are you wearing? And the guy was actually in a fur coat, which then he proceeded to walk very closely to all of us, so he would touch our hands because we were holding the flyers. He would touch our hands with his coat as he walked by. So super gross. But anyway, that was probably the most jarring moment where someone like called me out, and like I wasn't even doing something non-vegan, and I also wasn't vegan at that point. But for me, I went back and forth between vegetarian and vegan over the course of like 15 years, I want to say 14 years. But during that whole time, like I had already gotten rid of all the animal products as far as wearing them. I was already buying products like beauty products and like cleaning products that didn't have animal products in it, weren't tested on them. What was keeping me from using the word vegan was that I was still eating cheese. I would never have called myself vegan while eating cheese because I was choosing to eat cheese. So I was vegetarian. And I don't want to be like super precious about it, but I also feel kind of like I have to, because if you accidentally eat something and you find out there was dairy in it, there was whey in it, and you didn't know, I think that's one thing. But I think when you actively choose occasionally to eat animal products, occasionally to buy a new leather bag, stuff like that, I feel like it sends the wrong message. And people are already so confused by what the word vegan even means that I think it puts people who are vegan and like out in the world trying to like go to a restaurant that maybe isn't a vegan restaurant, like it puts them at risk of getting animal products in their food simply because maybe that chef is like, my best friend's vegan, she eats eggs, you know. And so I think it can create confusion. So I don't think it makes you a bad person or you have to feel badly or anything like that if you feel like your definition of veganism is different from someone else's. But I also think that we can't have a different definition of that word. So that's my take on it.
I like that. What do you think, Dawn?
So, my vegan journey. My husband had a health scare in early 2017. I'd already seen What the Health not What the Health, Forks Over Knives.
Yeah.
And I have a vegan business where I was doing catering and meal prep and food demos and stuff and a lot of stuff. So I was like, oh, I'm going to stop doing this. I think we tried a couple of months prior to the health scare. When anyway, later on, when there was an actual health scare, a few months later, I think early 2017, I literally just went downstairs and threw everything in the trash. And then I threw everything. And I went to I couldn't throw things away because I had some commitments to some corporate, some business that I had to do the catering for the month. But that was done that same month. I personally went vegan the same day. Like the day that he told me he had the health scare, which is 3 weeks after he knew he had something that was going wrong. We did it. It was the next day. It was over. But that next day, I threw everything away the night before. Then the next day we ordered like a meat lovers pizza, and then it was over. So after that, I did another greedy meat lovers extra large pizza, and then we were done, which is the next day. And then the business in 30 days had, I just didn't buy any more meat or dairy, but I just fulfilled the obligations that I had. And I immediately signed up for eCornell training. I immediately signed up for all the plant-based conferences that I could find. I didn't want the Veg Fest so much as I wanted the education. And I immediately lost 95% of my business in 45 days. So 95% of my business was probably bankrupt. It was just a step from bankruptcy for the business. So for a year, I had no business. So I just became the Vegucator in that year. And the husband it was just a scare. It wasn't a real thing. And so hardcore, I'm hardcore type. I'm a deep end. I don't do the toe in the water. I just do the whole thing. I tried the toe in the water. It doesn't work for me. I tried the Forks Over Knives. I'll try it a little bit. That doesn't work for me. I know different things work for different people, and you have to respect and honor that. But yeah, you shouldn't I don't do honey. I don't wear leather. Old leather I have, I can't give it away because in my mind, I'm extreme. So I don't wear it. I don't use it, but I can't also give it away because then I'll be promoting it in my mind. Like Kimberly, I don't know how to not do it 100%. I do have some leather in my car. We were just talking about vegan tires. I can't believe they put animal stuff in tires, sick people. But that. I also really focus on community health, but I think there is confusion out there. And I agree with Kimberly that the messaging can get weird if you don't do exactly what vegan is. And some communities don't know what vegan is. I do think it's very confusing. So I hear people saying vegan and they have on leather shoes and they're wearing a pair of boots, suede boots. But you know what? You have a plant-based lifestyle. You're 100% plant-based. To me, you're not vegan if you shampoo that's got animal testing. But again, like one of the people said on the thread, if you guitar strings and you're a musician, what are you going to get? If you don't have the option, what can you do? So like Jay said, so you certainly don't judge people because of it. But I personally am 100% vegan, but I talk a lot about the food and the health because the way that I focused and came in and, because I'm in the business. So, but I'm 100% in.
I love it. Thanks, Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really interesting approach. I feel like for you, being 100% in really works. For me, it doesn't because, say, with the food, I've had eating disorders before, and I would just create a lot of food rules, like you can't eat this, you can't eat that, that food is bad, don't eat after 7, don't do this. And then now, if I say, okay, I can't eat any animal products for the rest of my life, I feel like I'm going to start craving them. So I'm saying like, all right, if I really, really want an egg, I'll eat it. And then I don't want an egg. So I have to kind of trick myself thinking about it this way. And then occasionally, like when I visit my parents, yeah, I'll probably have something non-vegan. So maybe I should call my diet plant-based because of that. But the restriction does the opposite for me. It just makes me crave things that I wasn't even craving at first. And I've also met a lot of women with the same restrictive behaviors for whom it just didn't work. And it's like really sad because that's like the mental game, but that's different from what is vegan and the correct definition, making the world easier for more vegans. So, yeah.
Well, before I know you got to ask, I should have used that. I'm sorry. One thing I want to say about that. So yeah, there are 80,000 beings or something. So to me, it's learning the food. Like and the people get messed up on the food. They don't really care. I don't think they're so caught up on the clothes and let people do have a thing about leather. I don't know what it is. Like there's no faux, I don't know what's wrong with that. But when most people get caught up, I can't let go of cheese. Like Kimberly, I can't let go of eggs. Something about my mom and the chicken. I get you. But really, that's not, again, it's not vegan. So it should be called plant-based. But there are so many ways. I ate pancake. I ate all of it, and I cooked all of it. And I think that it's a mind shift. And I understand the pressure that you're talking about. Like if you've had some past eating challenges that have, that require you to not do it, you just call yourself plant-based. I wouldn't say vegan because it was confuse people when they see you doing it.
Right,
So.
right. That makes sense. Before we jump to Marla and Helene, I want to read some messages that we just got. Jay Ward said, all acoustic guitars have bone and animal glue. The big brands anyways. Does that mean we can't listen to music? Echo
That'd be like not
Naya
driving a car.
says,
Yeah.
sorry?
That'd be like not driving a car. That'd be like not
Yeah, that'd
driving
be
a
like
car.
not driving a car and not getting vaccinated,
Right.
I guess. Echo Naya says, thank you for encouraging and educating the so-called vegan movement, stronger and healthier together. Will you support corporations that have one or two vegan options on the menu? We can jump to that question next. John Lugo says, I worked in the zoology laboratory at UT Austin doing nerve rejuvenation research. The cats in the lab next to me were being run by remote control. Oof. I left school and went a little crazy for some time until I figured out what was bothering me so much. It took a good 6 months of figuring out what was causing my depression. I'm a raw vegan now and have been for about 10 years, vegan for 29 years now. Wow. Good job, man. That's awesome. Helene, what about your vegan journey and where did you gravitate to in the end?
It's been, oh gosh, 19, 29, 39, 49. It'll be 33 years that I've been kind of ebbing and flowing through this. And I, like, as a vegetarian, I was cruelty free, oddly enough. And as I put leather shoes back into my world because I openly said I was selfish and I love shoes. And that was way before the options that we have now, because there's absolutely no reason now to wear leather shoes. But it was when there was literally one pair of synthetic shoes in the whole store, and that was it.
And they were awful, probably, right?
No, they were pretty decent, but they were
In Russia, you can't wear
expensive.
synthetic shoes in the winter.
Oh, yeah, well, I was in California when I made this decision, so I didn't have weather issues. So, but I went that route, and I was a vegetarian. I was eating eggs, and I wasn't eating eggs. I was eating eggs in things, and I think I'd already given up dairy milk at that point. But of course, like foods that were cooked with them, I kind of just went with, and I kind of ebbed and flowed, and kind of felt my way through what I wanted to do. Like I actually am in New York City right now, not North Carolina, which Katya and I are both here for the expo. That's tomorrow, the next day, the Plant-Based World Expo, which we're super excited to attend. Just do a little plug for that. If you're in New York City, come, because there's going to be awesome people at the event. But we're going to go live from there too, so maybe you can come live with us. But I was driving around Manhattan for my sister-in-law's, I don't know if I mentioned this on here, for my sister-in-law's bridal shower. We went to Chippendales and we had two limos. My mom was in the limo behind us and I was in this one. And I was through the moonroof yelling at people that meat is murder and that fur is bad. And this is as a vegetarian. I was 19 years old and going through Manhattan. I also picked up we were on Bleecker Street in the West Village, and I picked up a punk rocker guy who was like 7 feet tall and like leather and like spikes and like the whole thing. I got his phone number as my mom watched from the limo behind us. So
did you get his phone number to punish him for all this leather and stuff he was using? What was it for?
At that point, I was vegetarian, so that didn't bother me so much. I just wanted to buy me some music, and he refused to do that, but I got his number. So I kind of like flowed through this journey for a very long time now. And I've always felt, President John, thank you for BOI. So congratulations first for Doc Martens. I've heard about them for Doc Martens. Yeah, see, John knows. John knows exactly what I'm talking about. I think John and I are probably close in age. So I've kind of decided that I'm going to ebb and flow through this world and kind of feel my way, because it's my world, and that's what I needed to do to get to the point where I'm at now. 10 years vegan, 10 plus years vegan. Moving to North Carolina is what did it. Not living in California, not living in New York, two vegan mecca states. I did it in North Carolina. And that has led to like a whole universe that is opened up for me. I'm sorry, I have vertigo right now, so just bear with me because I'm floating and I'm standing still. So, which I'm not overly happy about. So, it's not fun. But I've kind of ebbed and flowed through this, and I feel that it's important to meet people where they are. Because Katya and I have talked about this beforehand. I said, yes, you can call yourself vegan, because people drive cars that have non-vegan tires or leather steering wheels. Every single food that you purchase from anywhere, except the fact that if you buy it from a truly vegan store, and even then, the products would have to be delivered to that store, not by truck, not by plane, not by train. It'd have to be delivered to that store by, I guess, someone on a bike who's vegan with tires that are vegan on that bicycle. And who made that bike? So we
Not
can
even
like
a
kind of
horse, not even a carriage.
Right, exactly. You have to keep drilling down to be a purist, and no one's a purist. I see Don taking notes. No, it's absolutely impossible to be 100% of pretty much anything on this planet. And Marla and I have talked when she came on to Virtual Vet Dress Live. She made a really important point, which I've carried forward many times. And Marla's like, "What did I say?" You said like being vegan is doing the best that you can. That's when it comes, especially when you delve into medicine, right? Vaccinations. We do the best that we can in this world that's imperfect that we live in. And you can't kill yourself because you took a Tylenol or a vaccination, or you mistakenly ate something at a restaurant. Your clock doesn't start over. Vegan for 10 years and you ate a piece of meat that was served to you by mistake at a Chinese food restaurant, or any restaurant for that matter. You don't start the clock again because you've probably eaten something before that you didn't know. I mean, there's just, people do different things. There's honey. There's like Katya goes home to Russia. She eats her mom's food.
I go about
It's
once a
just
year.
right. It's just easier to not have, and she told us, she'll tell you her mom tried and it's still wasn't vegan, but she tried, and that influence is there. So maybe next time it will be vegan, but she's not. I wouldn't eat it. I said that to Katya. I wouldn't have eaten the food, but it's her mom. So I'm pretty sure if my mom made something that was supposed to be vegan, it wasn't, I wouldn't eat it. But I don't have to worry about that because she's not alive. So let me see. I want to get to like what John said. I went vegan in the late 1980s. I said there was a single poignant moment. I think there was where I went vegan, but I think globally there was something cooking, then a lull. And I think by 2010 it just blew up with vegans everywhere and vegan restaurants appearing in tiny towns everywhere. Jay, I'd be really curious to know like where you live. I'd be really curious to know that. So thank you for that, Jay. And that's funny because it was 1989 that I went vegetarian. So, and I'd already given up red meat at like 15 years old. So it was like years before that. It's been a really long time. And I'm very conscious and aware of letting people be who they are, because pressuring them and forcing them doesn't work. And I was just in Las Vegas eating, we just ate our way through Las Vegas, and I sat down at a poker table twice. Both times, someone at the table commented about my tattoo that's on my wrist. And it's just there, but it's my Piggy logo, and it says "Friends Not Food" on the top. And one man who sat next to me, actually from Long Island, not too far from where I am right now, wanted to talk to me about veganism. And he asked me, he was like, "I hope you stop playing so I can talk to you." And the dealer actually answered the question. he said out loud, "Do I just want to talk like what it is? How could I be vegan?" And the dealer started saying, as he was dealing, "Well, first you need to watch Forks Over Knives." I didn't say a word. First you need to watch Forks Over Knives, and then you really want to eat more whole food, plant-based. It's the dealer at the table, random. I just went with it. I was like, that's everything I would have said. And then there was no pressure because he already understood the ethics. He told me he did. He just has a wife and kids, and he doesn't do all the cooking. And his wife already felt like she was cooking 3 meals, and he didn't want his wife and family to kill him. And sometimes he travels in cities where there's nothing. And I was like, there's always something in the supermarket, but you're still traveling. But I didn't, a staunch vegan would have been at him. I mean, I sat next to this man for hours at him, and it's just not my way. If you have questions, I'll answer them. I will help you. I will hold your hand, but that's something you have to want to do. And I'll be your support. Obviously, I produce vegan festivals. Come. We have education.
Yeah, you're not forcing people to go to the festivals. Here's your vendors. Come, they're there. Come ask questions, right?
Exactly. So I mean that's kind of where I've been, where I'll continue to be. And Jay's in Canada. Oh, that's awesome. Nature of Things with James. I was looking not in my house, but other ones. Oh, that's really awesome. Yeah, and then of course, I already understood animal rights, and obviously I understood the health reasons. I went vegan for health, and I already understood the ethics. So, and then the environment, well, that's a given. But I see Kimberly's got her utensil up, and I'm just gonna be quiet because I am literally floating as I stand here. So go.
So I'm in Helene's camp in that my approach is very much ask me questions. I am not, if someone's like, hey, I want to know more about veganism, I'm like, okay, well, this is what you're going to do. And you're going to start this right now. And this is the way that you're going to live life from this moment on because you asked me a question about veganism. So if someone's like, just tell me where I can find non-leather shoes, I want to start there. I'm okay with that. I will give them that information so they can start there. But, going back to the whole, you can call yourself vegan when you're choosing to eat animals. I have to strongly disagree with that. And it really comes down to the confusion and the possibility of just making this word mean nothing. When the word can mean anything, how does it mean anything? So I don't want to keep pushing that, but I want to keep pushing that. So yeah, my approach is very open. I'm really not super judgmental. And I same thing. I was vegetarian. I stopped eating cheese, and then I started eating cheese, and then I stopped eating cheese. And I finally went vegan, but my thing has always been for the animals. That's why I chose to go vegetarian. And I had no idea how to cook. I lived on pasta for months as I learned, I didn't even like vegetables when I stopped eating animals. I didn't like them at all. No one believed that I was going to stick with it for a couple of days, let alone 20 years. And to me, when we're saying it's okay to just call yourself vegan and eat animal products multiple times a year and choose to do that, and because you want this pair of shoes, those animals want to live. And so when we're putting our wants, when we don't need that, we absolutely don't need it. And when we choose this, I've got to have these shoes, I don't know, it just, to me, I feel like it really muddies the word vegan, and we're going to end up where the word means nothing, and we'll have to get a new word. I don't know. That's my thought.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, I love your passion on this. You and Dawn are really passionate on this. This is awesome. Okay, we've got Marla left for her story, and then I do have 2 more questions for you guys from Helene's and from Kim's points. Yes.
I'm very distracted by whatever Helene is doing over there.
Yes, Helene, what's up?
Does she
We can't
know
hear
she's
you, Helene.
muted? You're muted.
That's right.
Helene, you're
Sorry.
muted.
Sorry.
Are you
I muted
casting at
myself.
us
I was like,
with a view?
But
no.
Marla's next, right?
I know, but we have a comment that you guys can't see. I want to address because
Oh,
Yes.
it's from Connie and it's on Tampa Bay Veg Fest. It says, really
Okay.
interesting
Okay.
discussion. I am vegan. We are constantly learning and hope to change the world to make it a vegan world eventually. So thank you for that, Connie. I just want to make sure that we address all the comments, especially ones you cannot see. So
thanks, Connie.
sorry. Go ahead, Marla.
I didn't know what you were doing, Helene, but I thought maybe we were being cursed or something because it was very expressive.
I was like,
I
what
think
did
the
they
best.
hear me?
I was very scared there. Anyway, I've been vegan for a long time. I went vegetarian when I was in high school. So I was vegetarian starting in about 1983, and I went vegan it will be 27 years in February. So when I first went vegan in the mid 1990s, there was not, we learned everything from books, which is a fine way to learn things, but it meant that there wasn't a lot of complicated alternative views about what a vegan was. It meant, that we read what the definition was, we adhered more or less to that definition, and there wasn't a lot of chatter around trying to figure out like loopholes to it. And I'm glad for that, because it really just kind of, when I went vegan, there were no decent vegan cheeses or anything like that. So when I went vegan, it was like, you had to be all in that. It was once I made the mental switch to being that vegan. Thank you, John. That being vegan was what I wanted to do. That's where my heart was, and that was the right, thing for my ethics and my values and my life's work. It was no problem. Like before I made that little adjustment, I was always figuring out little ways around things. Like, well, I went to a bakery. Well, I don't know that they didn't use soy milk in the bagels. And I don't know that they didn't use X, Y, or Z. What happened was I saw a film presented by Alex Pacheco from PETA at Northwestern. And it really got into not so much the meat industry, but the dairy and egg industries and how profoundly cruel they are. And once I saw that film, there was no place left for me to hide. I could kind of it was a little nebulous before that. Once I saw that film within that year after I committed to being vegan, then it was like fully, there were no more like little goofy excuses here and there. I did have, oh gosh, I still think about this. I had this suede fringe jacket that I got at a resale shop that was vintage, and it was like phenomenal. And it just sat in my closet for a long time after I went vegan. And then I finally went, I still remember to this day giving it to one of my coworkers who was not a vegetarian. And it was just like, I was so dramatic because, of course, I was in my 20s. So I was like, but it also felt very freeing and liberating to be fully more on that path. The other thing I was going to mention, as to Kimberly's point, that that words are, language is fluid and language evolves, but meaning is meaning, and the word vegan means something, and I think we have to kind of hold firm to that it means something, that this is what it means. It doesn't add all this extra stuff to it, but it means something. It's not this, hey, I'm deciding today that I'm going to be vegan, and tomorrow I might have eggs at the restaurant, and so tomorrow I won't be vegan. It's like there is a real meaning. There are real consequences to the animals when we, eat their body parts and byproducts. The other thing I was just going to mention is, as to Helene's point where she was quoting me, is that we do live, as we all know, we live in a profoundly imperfect world. I personally do not consider having had the vaccines to be non-vegan, because you know, we are doing our best in this very profoundly imperfect world with a, you know, a global health crisis. This was a system, the biomedical research industry, that we didn't create, that people are actively trying to fix and to modernize. Until then, we are left with imperfection, and we have to do our best to muddle through that. Veganism has never been, to me at least, it shouldn't be about the ego. It shouldn't be about I am doing veganism better than XYZ. You know, I feel like you know, I feel like one of the great takeaways that vegans get from being vegan is a resourcefulness and an ability to adapt to circumstances. And so that's one of the things that we have to learn as imperfect beings in an imperfect world. You know, we're working towards solutions, but it doesn't happen like that. You know, it takes time, and we're working on it. Thank you, Susan. That's all.
That's awesome. Thanks, Marla. Okay, I did have a couple notes from Kim and from Marla. So it looks like Kim really separated the wants and the needs, right? Like, did you accidentally have it? Rather, did you want it? That was awesome. And you're correct. It muddies the waters if we're not like doing the right job, just upholding to the definition. People do get confused. However, I don't think it's a terrible thing, because the more we get confused, the more we talk about it, the more we spread the word. The reason people get confused is because now, like Marla said, a lot more people are vegan, which is amazing. Like, it's growing exponentially. Of course, people get confused when something is, you know, pretty much viral, when more people want to do it and try it for all kinds of reasons, for themselves, for ego reasons, for chasing clout, for selling things for their business and making money. For all of these reasons, people try being vegan or try to sell vegan products and make them. And that's a good thing, right? However, then the confusion starts, and then we get conversations like this going, when in the 80s, that wasn't a thing. In the 80s, everything was damn clear because like the community was so much smaller. Okay, so what, I guess, what kinds of like muddying the water have you seen that is just really not sit well with you? Marla mentioned like, oh, I'm vegan today, not vegan tomorrow. Oh, I do whatever. So like ego kind of people. And then the amount of people that I've met in quite a large quantity is trying to be cool, just, you know, trying to do the new thing. I'm gluten-free now, I'm vegan now, I'm just doing this. Like, come on, man. Right? There's a lot of people on the internet trying to sell products, companies, and services, right? So they're chasing clout, they're using the word, they're using the hashtags. And some of the people are really trying their best. And what ends up happening is they find that information. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes the products are useful, like Beyond. Probably not made for vegans, right? Meant for more people trying non-vegan stuff. But we end up eating it too, even though we're vegan. So when do you think it's useful and when do you think it's not?
So what is your question? When is it useful? So your question is about what bothers you?
I guess when people use the word
question.
vegan and they're not like necessarily fully vegan or vegans for the right reasons, like when do you think, I guess, when people try, or companies try the best they can, rather than, you know, just do this for the money, do this for the fame, do this for the wrong reasons. When do you think this stuff is still useful? So Helene raised, I think, her fingers first. Helene.
Well, Kimberly's got a spoon. Kimberly, do you have a spoon over there?
I do. My spoon's been here for a
You got a
while.
spoon
What's a Kim? I'm so sorry. It's a tiny spoon.
I'll be quick. So first, I also want to highlight a portion of the definition of the word vegan, which is as far as possible and practicable. So if we have to drive and the only car that we can afford has, you know, animal fat in the tires, that's okay, because it's as far as we can go and it fits still within that description, you know?
Right.
We don't live in a vegan world. And then to your point about products and people who, or companies that are, you know, trying to push and use the word vegan, that makes me think of like multi-level marketing schemes. And I've got a huge issue with that, but that's not for now. But a lot of them say, oh, our products are cruelty free and vegan, and maybe their products don't include animal products, and maybe they're not tested on animals, but MLMs are insanely predatory. So to me, I don't feel good as a vegan buying products that call themselves vegan from companies like that. I'd rather buy from an actual vegan company that was, established by people and run like a real business. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Go ahead, Helene.
Awesome.
So it's like touch on, there's so many comments. I'm just going to touch on the comments before I go into what I want to say. And I'm pretty sure that John is saying that he lived in LA, not Louisiana, but I could be wrong because LA could be Los Angeles or Louisiana. So for 10 years, and so I'm a guy from Metallica, which is awesome. And he also lived on corn chips and salsa for years in San Antonio. But what a great place to live on corn chips and salsa, because, that's Southwestern food mecca. And then Christmas is coming. Yes, how many of us have gotten gifts that we kind of went, yeah, I'm going to give this away because it's not vegan at all. So thank you for that. And then, that and Susan, and beware of the vegan who eats once a month. And Marla just walked away. So she'll be right back. All right. So here's what bothers me. And it's a non-vegan person producing vegan festivals. It's a non-vegan person making money off of vegans. It bothers me a lot. I feel like everyone who produces vegan anything the core person needs to be vegan. There could be members of the team that are not, but the person who is in charge running it needs to be vegan. And the funds need to go into a vegan world and cycle in that world, which I know Dawn 100% agrees with, cycling the money into vegan businesses. It really, really bothers me. What else bothers me? It bothers me when vegans take advantage of their communities for money as well. When people have the money that they need and they look to their communities for money for whatever reason that they have. I think we've gone into a world where this breaks, let's ask the community to pay for it. Not looking at your bank account first, but let's ask the community to pay for it. And before looking inside and being like, well, I have a business, I have expenses. Yes, expenses come up that are, like you're not expecting. So, like, do I pay for it or do I ask all of you to pay for it? And in you asking all of you to pay for it, am I ethically doing the right thing by doing that? Even as a vegan, going out to the vegan community. These are things that really bother me. But the running a vegan festival without being vegan, to me, is just literally, money's going towards someone who's going to go eat a steak for dinner. That bothers me. How do they produce a vegan event and then go eat non-vegan food with the money you paid them to do the event? And I'm pretty flexible, as you guys heard, but that one is a big, big no. And when us vegan organizers, we all get together and we talk about this. We talk about these things. And that is something that is really, really so along this line. So it's pretty disturbing. So I see that in my town, all vegan restaurants owned by Omnis. I don't see vegan chefs starting anything up. If they did, I'd support it. So that's Jay. And then, like Eco and Naya, one of my struggle areas is purchasing organic produce and throwing out the seeds. It really bothers me to do that. We don't regrow organic healthy seeds. Any advice on that? That's a great, if you can start a garden, start a garden. I don't have a green thumb, but I am starting to plant seeds. I don't tend to keep them alive, but I try. and then Susan said that's a lack of integrity. It's like a wedding planner with a theme. That's fantastic, John. Thank you. That's fantastic. So yeah, so that's like my big thing.
Cool. All right. So thanks, Helene. Now we got our frustrations out. I want to finish on the positive note. We've got 10 something minutes left. So if somebody is vegan curious, they will try to be vegetarian, they're cool with it. They want to go further. They want to get rid of the rest of the non-vegan stuff in their life. But either they don't have time to research, like something is not working, or they just can't figure it out, or they're not willing to. You don't know. You don't know their life. But you see them trying, and they kind of like, you see them wearing leather every once in a while, or you see them get on vegan, maybe household products, or you see them eat something that is like, oh, that actually like, oh, white sugar, haha. How long would you give them to like clear it up and then call it vegan? Would you kind of put it on them, or would you put it on the situation more? Would you let it, because some people go vegan gradual, right? Like it took me probably about 2-3 months. If I did a cold turkey, that would have been a disaster. That would have been so bad. Yeah, how would you go about it? And another reason I'm asking that is because I train clients who request meal plans, right? And I usually write them vegan unless they request otherwise. And then I would just say, add your non-vegan foods as needed, or I can provide recommendations. I don't really need to or want to, but if they request, that's the service that they pay for. Cool, fine. Or sometimes I will see something, they messed up in their diet and they eat something non-vegan. Okay, cool. Usually if I kind of question them, they just give up. And if I provide encouragement, say it's okay, you'll do better tomorrow. You'll find the meat replacement for this. You'll do this. Try this. And I guess my job is just to say it's okay. You did the best you could. Do better. But that's not always a good message because some people just keep being flaky. So what do you do? How do you treat people like that, Marla?
Am I muted? I can't tell.
No, you're not muted. We can hear you.
Okay. My experience is that I've had a few friends in my life who've said that they wanted to go vegan and just kind of were very flaky about it. In order for me to not get frustrated about it, I really needed to detach emotionally from it and know that they knew that I was there to support them, help them with all the information, all the support I could supply. But, if they're kind of waffling, that's, like I said, it's really up to the individual. They have to have that commitment before it's going to really be a meaningful change for them. So I think the best that we can do is just be present with people and believe that, give them the benefit of the doubt and just try to remove barriers. I think that's the one of the most aggravating things that I see vegans do is put up obstacles to it by saying, you have to buy these products and you have to have a high-speed blender. If you don't have a high-speed blender, then you're not, really not engaging with people of multiple backgrounds and economic statuses and that sort of thing. So I guess my point is it's not my business if somebody is waffling and being flaky about it. All I can do is model my way of being vegan and hope that and some of them have come around and are now non-flaky about it. So I don't know. That's what works for me.
Okay. Who raised their spoon next? Dawn?
Yeah, so I didn't get to chime in the other question, but we're almost out of time. But what I would do with the those who are trying to go vegan, and so there are two different avenues because I'm in business, right? So for business, if you're not, if you're on a journey and you're saying you're going to remove things in a certain path in my coaching side, then I work with them on that path. I give them all the information about why you shouldn't eat chicken. And most of the people that come to me are coming for health reasons. They've had heart disease or some kind of chronic disease that makes them come to me because they heard I know how to talk about that and I know how to make the food that makes it easier for the transition. So that's on the business side. I don't encourage so I don't do that. I'm strictly vegan information in this is why you shouldn't eat that because it promotes your risk factors for chronic disease by this much every single time. I have a nutritionfacts.org link. I have like 40 of them on my phone, and I just shoot them out. And I recommend Daily Does it. And I also, on personal side, most of the people that I deal with are people of color, and I send off By Any Greens Necessary by Tracy McGuirter. I have like 6 of them right now. And I don't give them my flavor, my cake. I don't give them my cookbook. I give them Tracy McGuirter's By Any Greens Necessary. I literally give them away. And I don't care if you read it. My goal is to give it to you. And then I give you nutritionfacts.org, and I give you can borrow How Not to Die, because normally they're coming to me because there's something wrong, like type 2 diabetes. Okay, well, let's go to this video. It's only 3 minutes. So some people don't. So I give information. I veducate. And then if you want to learn how to eat, a lot of people just want cooking lessons. I do viral cooking lessons. So I think I never get mad because it's their journey, but I do inform, and that's my job as a vegan, I think. And even though people don't know that I'm vegan, they don't know if I wear leather or not. They don't care. They just don't want. Most people I deal with don't want to die of disease. And by default, if they become vegan, they're going to help the environment and they're going to help animals. So I just think it's important that we not be. I'm a staunch vegan, but I'm not a mean vegan. I'm staunch about being very firm in what vegan definition is, but I'm very open to listening to your challenges so I can help you with solutions. I need to tell you what you need to know. That's why I need to be a vegucator so that I can give you what you need. A lot of these films that people watch, they tell you what's wrong, and then there's nothing that tells you what to do next. And then they go to the grocery store and it's like overwhelmed. And then they look on the website, on the internet, and it's like, what? So I am there, and I think we as vegans should really be educators. And we should be focused on being able to educate, and we shouldn't send any mixed messages. So I guess that's just being supportive, but definitely not judgy, but being very firm. People need to know the facts of what it is. You don't have to, and by definition, vegans are coming in there to not hurt animals, right? Not hurt and not bring harm to animals. That's what definition of vegan is. We're in a new dispensation, right? So people are very concerned about the 2 million people dying a year from chronic disease. So if we come and get them in that way, that's how I usually get them. Talking about that. Whether they know I'm vegan or not, they just think I'm plant-based. They don't know the difference. And I educate them on what that is.
That's awesome. Thanks, Dawn.
Yep.
Who brings their spoon next? Was it Kim? Yeah, I thought it was Kim.
So my approach too is like, I am like Dawn. I've got the facts. I'm going to be firm, but I'm also nice and I'm kind, because kindness is a huge part of this, having compassion, not just for non-human animals, but human animals too. But the coach in me, the first question that I want to always ask is, well, what got in the way? Last week you told me you were going to cut out the cheeseburgers, and then you come back and you tell me I ate all the cheeseburgers. Well, what got in the way? Why didn't you make that change? Because there's something that's not letting them let go when they have that level of information. When you know better, you got to do better, right? And so we got to figure out what's in there that's making it so hard for them to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're totally right. When you know what it is, you can actually find your replacement for the sweets that, get love and sweet feelings from other things, not necessarily sugar, white sugar or something like that. Yeah, I do that with my clients too. That's a nice approach. That's awesome.
I think you have to know their why. If they don't know their why,
right.
I'm sorry, Marla. If they don't know their why, and if you don't know your why, you're doomed to repeat the error of fail, right? Which means just try it again. Failure just means try it again. But you're going to repeat the same cycle. If you have to know your client's why, and if they don't have a why, you have to help them with the education to define when. The why could be their grandmother died and or something terrible, or that their husband had a health scare. You got to have a why.
Yep, it always comes back to the why. I agree. Mm-hmm. Marla.
I was just going to say one of the, I know we've got to go soon, but one of the little things that I tell people that I think is helpful, I've heard this back, people who are struggling with their transition, is a lot of times people look ahead and they get stressed out thinking, what do I do when my great aunt comes to town and she wants to go to that steakhouse? And what do I do for Thanksgiving? And what do I do on my brother's birthday? And they start like seeing the whole year stretched out ahead of them and all of that. So what I tell people is look at each meal, face each meal with joy and just say, this meal is going to be a vegan meal. And then afterwards celebrate, especially when, at the beginning, you don't do this when you're like 26 years old or whatever, but, just say, at the beginning when you're doing this transition, which, it's a learning curve. For some people, it's real quick. Other people there are blocks, and as we touched on, there's like psychological blocks. There may be associations with grandparents or just, eating disorders or whatever that come up in the way. So what I tell people is just make your next meal vegan, and then
wow, that's awesome. Just the next meal. It's so easy. Yeah,
exactly. So, and then when you get enough quote unquote next meals under your belt, so to speak, it's not a problem when you're facing Thanksgiving or you're facing your great aunt or whatever. Then it's just, this is easy, so. But you know what? I will say another thing is that some people are more anxious about upsetting others than other people are.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would also say that some people they have the baggage of fear that they're going to upset other people, whether or not it's actually true. So some of us don't really care. Others, it's a huge social anxiety. So we have to be sensitive to the fact that we're not all made the same, So.
I agree. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So it is about 8. I do have another question if we do have some time, or we can close up. Helene, he's smiling. Go for it. Okay, she's saying go for it. Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm saying close up. I because if you don't close up, I have to go because I can't stand here anymore. So I'm more than happy for you guys to continue, but I cannot stand here anymore.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So what I'm picking up is
awesome.
he wants to hang out longer.
Right. Yeah. I would say definitely address the comments because that's important. And then we can, whatever is left, we can obviously go into next week.
Sounds good.
Every week. So.
John Lugo says family pressure can get to you. Yep, it totally does. People feel bad when they're not eating what we are and when they're not eating healthy. Well, yeah, it goes both ways, John. Susan says compassion for animals and people. And then John again says, I'm surprised at how quickly I became lactose intolerant. I couldn't even go back now if I wanted to. Yep, I think Eco Naya says, I don't have a luxury of starting a garden this time in my life. I'm sorry. Maybe one day. One of the struggle areas is purchase organic produce and throwing out the seeds. It really bothers me to do that. That we don't regrow organic healthy seeds. Any advice on that? Maybe we can address it on the next stew. What to do with your vegetables? Should you throw out the seeds? Should you do things with your garden that are more vegan? I don't know. I feel like that's all the comments.
Right.
My sister always tells me, why are you for the animals if you didn't grow up with animals? Ooh, that's a good one.
Because
it's a future show.
You evolve.
Wow.
Good comment.
Wow. Thank you for suggesting the topic. You're awesome.
Yeah, we're all animals. That's right, John. We are all animals.
Yeah, that's true. Meow. Cool.
Well, let's
awesome.
get Helene taken care of. Let's get Helene off her feet, guys.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. This was great. And this actually cleared some of my, I guess, frustrations and wishy-washiness. And this is really useful. This is amazing.
Thank you, Katya. Thank you for the topic.
Katya. Thank you.
Thank you,
really
Katya.
great.
You did a fantastic job. It's always nice talking
Kimberly,
to you all. And thank you for everyone who showed up to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, great people. I don't know
What
what
does
these
VOYF What does that mean?
I don't-
just ignore it.
I don't. Yeah, I think that's definitely an ignore. It's on YouTube,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna look into what that is. But Kimberly closes out.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Will do. All right, I'm gonna move everyone out.
Thank you
Thank you all
all.
for being here in the lively conversation. All right. Well, thank you all. It was amazing. Great conversation. And you know, we finally had a little bit of back and forth, didn't we? Helene's been waiting for this. But this is proof that we can have conversations that are difficult, where maybe we don't agree 100%, but we come together, we listen, we engage, and we'll come back next week and we'll still be friends. We'll all still love each other. And that's really the point of this whole thing, that and to be able to talk about veganism. So thank you, because if you weren't here watching us, we wouldn't have a reason to be here. This means so much to each and every one of us. Have an amazing, amazing week, and we will see you back here next Wednesday. Bye-bye.